People tell me all the time that it's impossible to keep the commandments, but I read the Bible every day and I just find Bible verse after verse after verse that contradicts what people are telling me. This one's in Genesis 26, and you can read beginning at verse 1. And Yahweh is promising some good promises to Isaac. And in verse 4, he says, I will multiply your offspring as the stars of the sky, and will give all these lands to your offspring. In your offspring will all the nations of the earth be blessed. And here's why, verse 5. Because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my requirements, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Abraham kept the commandments. It's very plain. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to accept what that text says. Here's another one in 2 Kings 23 talking about King Josiah. I'd encourage you to backtrack to 2 Kings 22. But here in 2 Kings 23 verse 25, it says about Josiah, there was no king like him before him who turned to Yahweh with all his heart and with all his soul and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses. So King Josiah turned to Yahweh, and the way that he turned to Yahweh was obeying the law of Moses with all his heart, soul, and might. I'm going to throw in a third one just for good measure here. You don't have to pay for any of these. This is Luke 1, where we have a priest named Zechariah, and then we have his wife Elizabeth. In verse 6, they were both righteous before God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord. Again, I can show verse after verse after verse where people kept the commandments. So who am I going to believe? Am I going to believe the Bible, where it tells me that people, men and women, kept the commandments? Or am I going to believe people that tell me today, oh, you can't keep those commandments, it's too hard to keep? Deuteronomy 30, verse 11, World English Bible. For this commandment which I command you today is not too hard for you or too distant.